Satoru Gojo is one of the strongest sorcerers in Jujutsu Kaisen, and his power is literally unmatched. So basically that's the same thing for Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade. They do have a Gojo, and they're labeling it as the strongest, and it's literally in the title. So this is a character that you should really pick up because he's really strong. So why is he so strong in the game? So we're going to check out some of the skills, his auto skill ability where he can nullify all attacks, as well as some best tips and tricks on using Gojo in missions. Also the best recollection bits to equip Gojo with to get the most firepower out of him, as well as the best party formation in the game for Gojo. Let's talk all about that in this video. Gojo is a versatile type of character. You could play him as an offensive type of character or a defensive. He has a lot of special abilities that are different from the characters that you see in Phantom Parade, and honestly his special is just so freaking OP that he could just clear out missions so quickly. So let's talk about the skills for Gojo right here. So the first skill is a very simple skill. It deals 275% Jujutsu damage to the selected enemy, and each level upgrade increases by 20.3%, where the max at level 10 comes out to be 458.1% damage, which is a huge boost. Skill 2 is also very simple. This time you're dealing 200% taijutsu damage to the selected enemy, and I think at this point you get 14.8% as each level up and 332 on the max. So he does have a buff ability skill as his third skill, which increases damage dealt to self by 75%, with the max being 124.9%. So overall, his three basic skills, first two are just basic hits, and the third one is a buff. So that's very clear and self-explanatory right there. And then finally, his final special skill, the ultimate curse technique Reversal Red, deals 525% Jujutsu damage to all enemies, which is really convenient for early on in-game missions and battles. So it's like an AoE type of thing right there. So you might be wondering, what type of skills do I need to really prioritize during battle for Gojo? And this is like an obvious answer. It is the special. Gojo is supposed to be placed at the very end of your formation, and you need to literally get the special gauge up so that you can use the special at the very end and just completely destroy the entire opponents everywhere. It's a complete elimination because he has high damage output as well as it's a ranged AoE attack. If I had to give him a second priority, it would obviously be his buff ability, and that's literally self-explanatory. He increases the attack, which is really beneficial for the character to have a higher damage output. But there are ways to increase the damage output even further using recollection bits, and I'm going to talk about that later on in this video. So what are the best ways to use Gojo during battle? And this is very unique to this character because his auto skill ability is very interesting. And as I mentioned before, he does have the Limitless technique, which is a passive ability at the start of the battle, grants attack immunity to self as well as status effects as well. So that is an OP passive ability. But at the same time, he activates another passive ability called Urgent Business. So Gojo grants Urgent Business status to self, and when that status expires, he leaves the field. So with that, he has like kind of a drawback. So that means he's not that powerful in very long-term battles. So that means Gojo is specialized for short-term battles, and that is why he is perfect to pick up early on, because you need some very high damage short-term capabilities, and that is what Gojo offers. So within that 7 turns, it is literally a priority to buff Gojo's attack power as much as you can to land the special very quickly. There are ways you can use Gojo's special quickly in 2 turns by using Inumaki's buff ability and some remnant bits to allow Gojo to use his special skill within 2 turns, which is absolutely insane. And the recollection bits used for those 2 characters were these, and basically they just increase the special gauge immensely for all the characters. So let's talk more about the nullifying ability for Gojo. And I mentioned earlier in this video, Gojo can be used as a defensive character. So if you pair up with his passive ability Nullify and these recollection bits right here, and if you activate these recollection bits, it grants taunt status to self. So that means any incoming attacks will be only focused on Gojo, and since he has nullify ability, he doesn't take any damage, and rest of your party members also doesn't take damage either way. And honestly, this is a good tactic against many like boss battles or stuff like that, so really good stuff. So I know I've been talking about recollection bits here and there, but what is the best recollection bits to equip Gojo with? And some of these recollection bits might not be available during the official release of Global, but some of them are really powerful that Gojo is meant to be used with these recollection bits. So let's start off with this SSR recollection bits, and the base level. At the base level, it increases own Jujutsu damage by 80% when the special skill is activated, and as you unlock more levels, it increases by 85%. I think that's level max. And then it does have a special skill at the start of each wave. It fills its own special skill gauge by like 200. So by far, this is the best recollection bits to equip Gojo with. There is a downgraded version of this exactly kind of similar recollection bit, and it's called Pride. So this is exactly the same thing. This is like an SSR recollection bit, and it increases own Jujutsu damage by 55%, and the next level increases by 60%. But it does have a special ability where at the start of the turn, if own HP is 50% or below, it increases own damage belt by 30% 3 times, up to 1 time during battle. So when it comes to prioritizing high damage output for your special ability curse technique, I would definitely recommend these 2 recollection bits. So the ones that I just showed is a bit hard to get early on in the game, but there are a few recollection bits that I would recommend that you could possibly get in the early gacha, and this is an SR version of a similar effect to the ones that I showed that are recommended for Gojo. And this recollection bit increases own Jujutsu damage by 60%. However, it is only for 1 turn and for only 1 time, and its cooldown is 7 turns. I mean, that's the only drawback, but we are trying to focus on buffing his special skill, the Jujutsu damage, as much as possible. However, there is another SSR recollection bit that you could increase the overall damage, and this is the one right here. It increases by 70%, its cooldown is 6 turns, and each level increases by 5%, so it's 75% as well, and it gives a critical hit rate as another effect as well. So this is another good beneficial pick for Gojo. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is party formation for Gojo, and this is pretty crucial because Gojo, as I mentioned before, is supposed to be at the very end of the formation. He is the heavy damage dealer, so you need to prioritize Gojo and buff him as much as you can. So how do you buff him? We need characters to buff him as much as possible. So here is the recommended party formation for Satoru Gojo, as well as the recollection bits for each character here. So let me just explain who these characters are and what they do. Masamachi Yaga is an SR type of character, and he is a good support. He's really powerful because he can increase the taijutsu and jujutsu damage of all allies. It lasts for 4 turns, and by using it many times, he can greatly increase the firepower of the entire party. In addition, it is possible to inflict debuffs while dealing damage to enemies with his special skill. Really good support character right there. Along with that, we got Yuki, and he's a level R character. Really good support character that can grant all allies cursed energy recovery. In addition, his special skill can greatly increase the jujutsu damage of all allies, increasing their firepower, which Gojo definitely needs. So we also have an SR Nanami, and he is also really powerful because he can increase the damage dealt to all allies. It lasts for 4 turns, and by using it multiple times, it's possible to increase firepower for the entire party. Using these 3 characters would immensely increase Gojo Satoru's special skill to literally wipe out literally anything, bro. This is why I chose this formation as the best. So this pretty much wraps up the guide for Satoru Gojo in Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade, one of a phenomenal characters in the game to pick up early on. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and see you guys in the next video. Bye.